There she goes.
All right. So welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. This is the first MNPS Presents program of the season, and tonight we are so lucky to have Gretchen Rupp sharing an overview of the Montana Native Plant Society uh, field trips from this past summer. So I'm super excited to see what you all engaged in this summer. And I'm really, really grateful that Gretchen offered to do this. Gretchen is a member of the Valley of Flowers chapter, and she's been a member since the 80s. She wouldn't give me an exact date on that, but she said she was very early on. So I'm so grateful, Gretchen, for your involvement in the Native Plant Society, and I really am excited to hear your program. So with that, thank you all for joining, and Gretchen, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Alex. By the way, she didn't introduce herself, but that's Alex Brown. She's our native MNPS Presents coordinator. Um, I have just a couple of caveats before I start showing this slideshow. One is that I did not lead any of these field trips. I did not take any of these pictures, and I'm not a botanist, so I don't know all of the plants. So, so we're going to have to be kind of interactive tonight because there will be some slides where the plants are not labeled because the photographer wasn't sure and I'm not sure. And probably I made some mistakes about places. So in that case, I have no hesitation in inviting you to unmute your microphone, introduce yourself, and say, oh, no, that's not species XYZ, it's species ABC, Gretchen. That's fine. Just go ahead and do that. We'll be pretty interactive here. So let's see if I can pull this up properly. All right. Okay. And if you don't want, I find a row of pictures, a row of people's faces, videos of people's faces on the side of my screen, very distracting. If you don't want that, go to the top of that row of pictures and you'll see a little bar. And if you click on the bar, you get rid of all those. So the work here was not mine. The work was that of the trip leaders and the photographers. And so I want to acknowledge especially the photographers. And there were a whole bunch of them that contributed to tonight's slideshow. And I'm going to move around the state sort of geographically, starting with Northwestern Montana with trips that were official trips of Western at Large or the Flathead chapter, but maybe also some unofficial trips that people just pulled together at the last minute. We have several of those shown in this slideshow tonight. So Bluebird Lake in the Whitefish Range. I don't know whether either Eve or Kevin is with us tonight, but if either of you is, you're very welcome to unmute and give us a little bit of an explanation of what we're looking at here. For those of us on the east side of the divide, the idea of encountering rhododendron in the woods is like utterly hilarious. It's like, are we in Georgia?
This is Rachel Potter. Can I add something about that white rhododendron?
Rachel, please do.
It's pretty darn abundant in the Whitefish Range, including up towards the north there at Bluebird Lakes. A whole lot of us have been looking at it for a long time. It's down, it's down in the Bob Marshall. It's up in British Columbia. It's never been found in Glacier National Park. And people have been looking for it. Jerry DeSanto, for one, for years. So if you happen to be, I figure if it's in Glacier, it's not growing along a trail. So we've been trying to spread the word. I don't know if we have anybody here, but spread the word that please, I bet it's in Glacier. Let's find it. Thank you.
Good tip, Rachel. Good one. Veronica. Now there are some flowering plants in here that the photographers weren't sure of. So here's one that was submitted by Pat McLeod. Can anyone just based on this photograph tell us what saxifrage this is? That's asking a lot, I know.
Maybe Aromazophia, which is in the saxifrage family. I don't know. I'd have to dig a little more.
Oh, here's another one. What is that sweet little flower on the left?
The one before, we thought it might have been a Suxdorfia.
Ooh, yeah. No, you're
That-
probably right.
Say that again, please, Betty.
Suxdorfia.
Suxatorphia, but of course.
Suxdorfia.
What
After
about this
6
little scamp?
Wow.
This is Andrea. I wonder if it's a dotted saxifrage.
Boy,
Not sure though.
it's got 6 petals.
6 petals, and it's kind of in a dry habitat, isn't it?
No, wait a minute. There's
Oh,
7.
yeah, 7, yeah.
7 petals. No.
It's
Okay.
good to have mystery plants. It keeps us on our toes. Looks like that was quite a good group there for that hike.
It has a calyx like the Portulaceae.
Was anyone on this walk? This looks to me like Flatiron Ridge. Pat,
Hi,
are you with us tonight?
hello, this is Pat McLeod.
Oh,
And
Pat, good.
this was part of Marguerite's efforts that she was doing collecting plants here up on the Kootenai National Forest. I think it
Mhm.
was listed as one of the hikes or opportunities in the brochure that was sent out to all the members. And that first, the little tiny one with 7 leaves was seen on the trail up, right in the middle of the trail on the way up to, in the Pipe Creek area here, like you were saying, what is it? I'm blanking on it, Flatiron. And then on
Yeah.
the way back, the flowers were pretty much non-existent, meaning I think they'd closed up. It was very small.
Hmm.
And they collected all the plants. It was quite a group of people from Wyoming that were here too. And they collected the plants, set them all out here on the picnic table, and then they were all pressed and will be part of the Rocky Mountain Herbarium.
Cool.
And this is Andrea. I just want to add to it. So what Marguerite's doing is a floristic inventory of the Kootenai National Forest. And she finished her 2nd year of her inventory, and now she's working up the results, and this will be for completing her master's degree from the University of Wyoming. So it's a pretty cool collaborative project. It earns her a master's degree if she completes it, and it provides a whole bunch of information to the Kootenai National Forest and to Montana itself on our botanical diversity.
Andrea, do you have any sense? Can you tell us whether she is finding anything new or surprising?
Well, she found one new species to North America that is an
Oh.
exotic. And she actually published a short paper with Neil Snow. Some of you may know him. He worked in, he's from Kansas, University of Kansas, and with her, one of her major professors, Ben Legler. And she has some other interesting finds, but
Okay.
I don't think I'm versed enough to know it. I just know she'll have some more stuff to say, and she should actually, thinking about ideas moving forward, she should put together a program next year for us.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. When she can draw some conclusions. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
This is Pat McLeod again, and it was just really a thrill for me. We don't have very many of these bitterroots here in our Northwest Montana. And so we go out and find them, and to actually have a legitimate reason to dig one up and for her to cut it in half was kind of fun. Her meaning Marguerite. And there she is with her knife.
Yeah, she looks pretty serious. This is a no-nonsense field botanist. Okay, Rachel, this one is yours.
Yeah, thanks to Kevin for taking some pictures. Cedar Flats is an area just north of Columbia Falls, right on the edge of Columbia Falls. Forest Service, that group of volunteers, a nonprofit, Gateway to Glacier, have spearheaded developing a whole number of trails and trail loops. It's a real wonderful thing. It's in a nice mixed forest, pretty damp with grand fir. That a lot of you and elsewhere in the state probably don't know grand fir. It's very abundant in northern Idaho and just sneaks into Montana. That was in the previous photo. And then this is Schooler's Willow. And Schooler's Willow, I always like to point out, if you're upland, away from water bodies, not in a riparian area, and you see a willow that has these, what do you call that shape? I used to call it spatulate, but see how it's wider beyond the middle of the leaf. There's a good chance it's Schooler's Willow. It's exceedingly abundant in Montana, particularly in upland areas. And there's a lot of it in the Cedar Flats area.
Cedar Flats sounds terrific, Rachel.
It is lots of birch, lots of, it's really wonderful. I think
Is this a
Fairyville,
lily?
right. And so now somebody that's more up on all of the new classifications, is this still a lily? I think it is. It's certainly a monocot. This stuff, we live right sort of near on the edge of Cedar Flats, very similar habitat. And I swear this stuff will grow a foot a day. It's unbelievable in the spring when the ground's moist and it warms up. It just shoots up. It's really exciting.
Steve, are you with us tonight? No? All right, we'll plug through Steve's photos without him. I don't know what that flower is on the left.
Holy mackerel.
Looks like a primrose.
Wow.
We got a couple of vacciniums or the other ones, but what's that one?
Is it the same foliage? You know, it almost looks like a cinquefoil or something. Foliage.
It has opposite leaves, doesn't it? And 5 petals. So it wouldn't be a primrose, but
It almost looks like what's the new name for cinquefoil? It's not potentilla anymore, the shrubby one. That's usually yellow.
It's
Are
more
there-
something like in the Caryophyllaceae with those opposite leaves and kind of mat forming,
I have to,
like a spurgularia, something like spurgularia.
Steve sent me a little bit of text about his hike, and he said that this was a white bark pine stand that had been overtaken by fire, and this is some years post-fire, looking at recovery. And so there's white bark. It looks to me like there's also alpen fir, and I'm not sure what else here.
Forest Service has been collecting cones. If you go up to Hornet Lookout in previous years, they've had some of the branches bagged so that because the cones disperse on the branches, how they collect cones. They'll climb them and put mesh bags around them. In the past, that's been a location for collecting cones, starting out probably some resistance to white pine blister rust, because the whole area has been really heavily hit in the past. There's very few trees left and lots of skeletons.
Linda Iverson, I see that you've raised your hand. Tonight, what we're doing is just go ahead and unmute yourself and make your comment. We don't have to go through the formal process.
I actually didn't raise my hand, sorry.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Sorry.
You just went a little bit wild down there on the screen. So we've got a buckwheat on the left here, and a very happy, healthy white bark, and a bear grass in the burn on the right. Moving a little bit south in the area of the Clark Fork chapter. As I understand it, this was a very casual field trip. It wasn't published in the flyer. It kind of came together not very formally. There's a pretty lousewort with a bumblebee. Gunnar, I think you're on tonight. If you want to give us any info about what you photographed, please do. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, this is Gunnar. This was just a field trip that we do kind of last minute in August with Peter Leska and Joe Elliott, looking at it's kind of a different environment. And on the right, you can see it's pretty cool, the cotton grass, which is always one of my favorite grasses. So glad that got in here.
Into the area of the Kelsey chapter, Andrea's photographs, I believe, or she sent them to me. I don't know too much about this field trip, Andrea.
Yeah. So Carissa led this field trip onto some, I think it's Forest Service land. Anyways, it's on the way to Priest Pass, just west of Helena. So just outside city limits. And it was a delightful 2-mile loop that we did. And as I'm driving to the trailhead, there's thunder happening. There's a good downpour happening. And I thought, oh, they haven't canceled it. And I show up at the trailhead, and there's like 6 other people with their raincoats and their umbrellas just hanging out at the trailhead. And I'm like, yeah, Native Plant Society people, members are just hardy, and we just persevere, and we enjoy being outside regardless of the weather. And it just was it ended up being just so heartwarming to have this 2-mile trip and not have it canceled, because soon after we started, the rain stopped, And it was really quite delightful by the end of our 2 miles. So we were looking for chocolate lilies, and there we are going, look, there's another.
Oh,
And
you found them.
we found them. I guess here they call them leopard lilies, but we called them chocolate lilies, just because of that dark purplish color on the underside or inside the flower.
And they're checker spot lilies also, right?
They could be, yeah. They
I
are
think they're
checkered.
also called that.
Yeah, that could be. And
I
then,
don't know if Mark is with us, so Andrea, go ahead and tell us what happened with this workshop.
yeah, so Mark gave a workshop on how to collect seed and grass seed. And we all came with our notebook and pen and a little nail clipper. And he showed us how we can clip open the seed to see if the embryo is the right consistency. And that says, yep, you should collect the seed now because it'll be viable once you get it stored. And so anyways, he went through grass identification and collect how to harvest, how to kind of process the seed. And on the right is kind of an interesting picture because he talked about viviparity. And so this is, he found 2 species recently. And anyways, I forgot, now I'm blanking out on this species. Matt can probably tell me, but this is showing vivipary. So that really kind of big growth that's happening at the floret, how it's getting kind of wide and what's my word? I don't know, just it's kind of getting big. It's actually the plant cloning itself. So it's not, the seed didn't get fertilized, but instead it fertilized itself however it does it to then clone itself. And I cannot remember what the conditions might be to create vivipary, but it does happen in plants and probably a bit more than we think it does. On the left, Mark he's collected some seed and now he's putting it through a sieve and just kind of rubbing it to get the outer coverings of to get the shell of the fruit off so that the seed will fall through the, well, he's just getting the outside of the fruit off, just breaking it off to reveal the seed inside. And then he'll put it through a sieve. And there's our group. We had quite a lot of people really interested in how to collect and harvest grass seed with the idea of growing it, and people representing nurseries, just people interested in growing native plants in their backyard, some agency people who who do restoration work and want to learn more. So there was a nice mixture of backgrounds of people. And we're sitting, oh, can I just back up for 1 second? And we're sitting inside the 6th Ward garden. And that garden is in the middle of Helena. And it's a community garden with the emphasis of not of growing native plants, but also growing plants that then people can just forage on. So beyond the native part, which is immediately in the foreground of this picture behind the people, there are also plants like, various fruit trees and raspberries and other plants that people can forage on through the year. So thanks.
Okay, Calypso down in the southwest. And I think Karen is here with us tonight. Karen, this looks like it was really fun. Do you want to tell us about this?
It
You
was,
have to
it
unmute
was,
yourself.
yeah, it was really fun. We, let's see, this was really a camping expedition, and it was a Thursday evening in July, and about 13 of us went down along the Big Hole at a fishing access just south of Glen. And the objective was to just learn something about the other pollinators among us that actually are more abundant and more diverse even than our bee population. And our leader was the most wonderful guy, Nick Tucci. He's from Butte and he's a contractor. That's Nick there in that picture. And but his avocation is of very long standing, his entire life actually. He and his brother together have traveled the world looking at moths, cataloging moths. He's just an expert. And we were so lucky to have him. And what he took us through over the course of late evening and then on into the next morning were really three different ways to be studying moths. And as I said, they were their real interest for us is pollinators, but they're nighttime pollinators, and we just don't pay as much attention to that. But they are more abundant in terms of numbers of species, more abundant by about 4 times than bees, and worldwide they are 10 times more abundant than native bees. So what these slides are showing is one of the parts. So if you back up to one with the screen, that's about 3 slides ago there. This is Nick's own setup. It's just bed sheets and PVC pipe. And it's obviously daylight now, but what will happen is that as the dusk happens, and he has an incandescent light bulb up here, then the moths begin to appear. And it was just an incredible collection of moths of all different sizes, shapes, colors, and happily, Nick actually saw several species that he himself had never seen around Southwest Montana before. So that was a treat for him. Then the second thing he took us through was the traditional take a butterfly net and walk down the road and squish at things. And we did that in the dark and did manage to corral a few more species. But the really interesting thing, if you go forward one slide, was this is he just took he took a big tub just straight out of Walmart and a bunch of egg cartons. These are just old egg cartons that are torn into some pieces, and put all those egg cartons into the tub. And then put an incandescent light, covered the tub and put an incandescent light on, and a funnel that attracted moths would slide down the tunnel into the tub. And apparently the attraction of the egg cartons is just that it is soft material and it's kind of calming to them. So when we opened the tub the next morning, that's what the next slide I think shows. Well, okay, these are the egg cartons, and I can't remember the names of any of them except that's a leopard moth, I think it's called, and oh, if anybody else
That may be
knows
all the
moths.
slides.
So here's the tub, and the you can just see it. They're just old egg cartons, and look at all the moths that accumulated.
Wow.
This
Wow.
was overnight. We just set it out overnight and all went to bed. And then in the morning we took the top off, and this is what we found.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? It was phenomenal. There's a little green one in here. I don't know if I included that slide, but he was thrilled to find this little green moth. I'm not sure if it's
No, I don't think we have that.
okay. So, oh, and yeah, and then this also was a very special one, the name of which I don't remember. But look at all the patterns and designs. It was phenomenal. It was just an amazement. So that was fun and another whole perspective on pollinating our native plants.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Valley of Flowers area. So Allison, I know you're here this evening. You took a bunch of photographs. There were quite a lot of orchids on this walk up Chestnut Mountain, and you've got some wonderful photos in here.
Yes, I think we found 4 different species of coral root on that hike. Which was a lot of fun.
And then there were these guys.
Oh yeah, and we found the bog orchids as well. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. I think the one on the left of the coral roots was spring coral root, and the one on the right was striped coral root. Twin flower everywhere.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, now we're over in the Madison Valley, and I'm not sure if anyone who led or took photographs is here with us tonight. Susie, are you here? Or Kim? So this is a conservation ranch in the Madison Valley south of Ennis. It was a conventional cattle ranch with dry upland flats and then a big riparian area, a big saturated area adjacent to the Madison River. And some 30 years ago, the manager wanted ways to augment the finances, and he went for some conservation funding, and he ended up completely undoing a whole lot of the hydrologic structures that had been put in and changed in the 19th and early 20th centuries, and restoring the wet meadow basically adjacent to some length of Madison River. So that's what some of it looks like with the Spring Creek. And this was apparently a very special castellea, but I don't know the specifics at all. Can anyone illuminate us concerning this paintbrush with its that likes its feet wet? No, okay. There was another paintbrush, an annual. And what is that flower on the right, please? Who can help us?
Maybe a Stephanomeria or a Lygodesmia asteraceae.
Oh, okay.
You know, like a skeleton weed type.
Okay. Then Linda and Jerry Iverson hosted a field trip on their ranch north of Big Timber in May, and had a bunch of folks out there, and several photographers contributed to our slideshow.
Maybe Linda could talk about the environment out there.
Is on, I know.
Yeah, I'm here.
It was a pretty wet year on your place, wasn't it, Linda?
It turned out to be, but at that time it was kind of dry, I think.
Okay.
But it kind of went back and forth. We just got a lot of rain this fall.
Okay.
But it was actually, I think, the perfect time to be looking at plants because the week after it got hotter. So it was perfect. Yeah, so it's kind of pine hills and prairie plants and grasses.
They do look like little rabbit feet.
That's kind of an interesting, that delphinium that's common out there in that part of Montana. It sits at an elevation of 6,000 feet, and it's fairly arid. A lot of when there's trees, it's usually Rocky Mountain juniper or pine or limber pine. And this delphinium, it flowers a little bit later, and it's not a spring flowering plant like delphinium bicolor. It's very similar to bicolor, but it flowers maybe a week or two later when it's a bit drier, and it has, probably can't see it from this photograph, but the flowers are a bit larger than bicolor. And the upper two petals are pure white. They don't have those blue veins that delphinium bicolor has. There's a couple of the differences.
It looks like it's growing in a pretty harsh environment.
Yeah, yeah. Where bicolor is more, in the where it's a little bit more lush. But delphinium bicolor is little larkspur, and this one is I'm not sure what the common name for it is. I thought this was an interesting one because Stenotus acaulis is so common, and here's this sort of a sister species, Stenotus armarioides, that has a different flowering head. The involucral bracts surrounding the flowering head are broader and just more distinct. And
There's the group.
there we are wondering about whether this is Arnica cerurea or Arnica fulgens. And I think the group consensus was it was fulgens, Arnica fulgens. Of course, you can see we have Peter Leska's book in hand. So Rachel Potter, you asked the question of whether Prosardes is still in the lily family. Well, Peter Leska says it is, so therefore it is.
There we go. Robin, you're on tonight.
I
Want to tell us about your field trip? We went up to Branham Lakes in the south end of the Tobacco Roots.
Well, we kind of started out with going to Balanced Rock, and then Tom and I scouted it earlier, and we realized that we'd need some decent trucks to go up there. And then when everybody showed up down at Mill Creek Campground, which is a really nice campground, there's no money involved. You can just camp there. Everybody was up for going way to the very, very end, and I had never been there. So we got into two of our vehicles and slowly crawled up the mountain. This is the highest place in Montana where you can find a campground. There's like 5 campsites. So it's pretty fabulous up there. We had a really good time, I think. We had a nice little group. And oh gosh, yeah, lots of rain orchids. But the one that I really was just struck by was the one on the right there, the rose root, which is rhodiola. I think this is integrifolium. Now I'm trying to remember. I think it's integrifolium, which is also called a sedum integrifolium. And I don't know. Yeah, Peter says sedum, and that's fine. I know it is rhodiola. Oh, sedum rubra introduced. Really? You think so? Okay. Yeah, because
Oh,
the
I
other
think
one, rhodantha, is very different.
Circularia rubra.
Really? Okay.
Oh.
The circularia, not the rhodiola. There was a comment about circularia on a previous photo. It has nothing to do with these slides here. It was on a previous comment.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to talk to the botanist where sedum and rhodiola get split, but this is pretty much in the Crassulaceae family.
Hey,
So,
Robin,
yeah,
Peter Leska would call that one sedum rosea, which is
Rosia.
which is the same as rhodiola integrifolia, as you called it.
That's what I saw in his book. Yeah. So,
And
of
is it
course,
introduced, Matt?
No, it's native.
Yeah, I've seen it way up in the Beartooth.
yeah, it's a very much sought after medicinal plant these days. It's actually now on the CITES 2. You cannot trade it without showing that it's been harvested sustainably, whatever that means. But it's slowly disappearing from the various rhodiola species from China and Russia because, I mean, we're talking tons and tons of the root, which is sold and traded. It's as a adaptogen to help with stress. And I'm growing the rhodiola rosea in my garden. It's really easy to grow here in Montana. It likes the cold winters. But anyway, we don't want people to know about these because they would go up and dig them up and sell them. And the roots are pretty old. I think these roots are probably, depending on the size of the colony there, they could be 60, 70 years old easily. And they just keep growing. So unless somebody messes with them, they're going to be there. So it was really nice to see it, though. You don't see it down low, put it that way. Yeah, cool. What else do we have? Oh, the elephant head. So fun. Yeah, I mean, this is a really where we were at there. We got out of the car and there was a meadow right in front of us with all these species, and the elephant head was just starting to come out. You can kind of see it's still kind of in bud at the top there. Pedicularis groenlandica, which actually is another medicinal plant. Of course, I do the medicinal stuff, but it's used as a nervine, a nerve tonic. But, I mean, I would not recommend, cutting or, harvesting these because, of course, it's not like rare, but you don't want to be cutting this down. There's other things, this drink an IPA. That's enough for
That's a good nerve tonic.
that's a good nervine, right? Yeah, I think in fact the IPA probably would be a little bit stronger. This is pretty light. And then of course lots and lots of different kinds of bog orchids. You can kind of go nuts trying to key them out and stuff. So is it Plantathera or is it Plantera? Yeah. Spelling wise, I'm not sure.
Plantanthera.
I thought there was an N, but I don't know. And then look at that primrose, the little monkey flower. Perry's primrose? I thought that was,
Is it Perry's primrose or was it a pink monkey flower?
I think it was a pink monkey
I
flower.
bet it was a pink monkey flower. I bet I got that wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
That
Sorry.
would make sense that it was pink monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget the genus, Matt. What's a new genus on the monkey flowers?
No more mimulus?
I
No.
still Mimulus louisii.
Yay, Matt.
Erythranthi, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I would call it mimulus too. I don't want to change that one. And then over on the right is a buckwheat. This buckwheat did really, really well this year. I don't know, maybe maybe it was the moisture or maybe it's just a common plant, but this is, I'm not sure which species, probably sulfurans, maybe. But the buckwheat is the flower that we saw so much at the new annual meeting for next year up on Homestake Pass is where our chapter is responsible for doing the annual meeting next year. And this was everywhere up there. So it's kind of a, I don't know, I think it's pretty ubiquitous everywhere, but it really was just fine up high as well. Yeah, compound umbel. Yeah. Mm. Oh, yeah. So the guy on the left there is a Veronica, and I don't know which one, but it's one of the little speed wells, again, in the really wet, moist area. And, you know, what's fun about this one is if you look and, sorry, I teach plant IDs, so this one stumped me one time, and I'll never forget it, but that is not a regular flower because 3 of the petals are about the same size, but that 4th one is a little bit less wide, skinnier, narrower. And so that makes it an irregular flower, which can throw you off in the key. But it's a really cute little Veronica up there, really hairy, pretty hairy. And then over on the right, we have, you know, more paintbrush. And the yellow flower in the back, this is Pedicularis groenlandica. Groenlandica?
No, I
No,
don't think so.
Bracteosa.
There we
Bracteosa.
go.
Sorry. You're right. Bracteosa, which last year we were driving around Montana, and man, it was having a great year. It likes the moisture, so maybe that was, you know, part of the reason we saw it much here too. But it's in that little wet spot there. And you see there is some elephant head there too. And then there was an arnica. I don't know which arnica, if you can see in the foreground there. Pretty sure that was an arnica. I don't know, Matt, what do you think? Wet, moist?
Arnica mollis,
Mollus. Okay.
which is hairy arnica. It tends to be common in that kind of mountain
Okay.
meadow environment.
Yeah. Okay.
Really like that. It also often has more of a golden yellow color in the petals. It's real kind of distinctive, not always, but it's sort of a richer, deeper golden yellow. It can be really pretty.
And this was in July, of course, high altitude, but a lot of these were just, it's kind of like they were just starting. So like that arnica was just starting. Yeah, not quite done flowering yet.
Then we have some pictures from field trips that went out from the annual meeting. This one is the Chalk Buttes, led by Kirk Hansen. And this was I don't know if Kenda is here with us tonight. She's the one who took these pictures. I assume this is that same white penstemon that we saw in the vicinity of our Camp Needmore.
Yes, it is.
So just to place geographically to place the field trip. Looks pretty dry, Kenda.
So this is not Chalk Buttes, but the Badlands. So much on the way home, but on the way back to camp.
Okay. You got 2 nice pictures with different stages of the flower. And then Patrick Plantenberg led a walk around at Medicine Rocks. There's a yucca. Patrick, are you here? You had something to say about that photograph on the right. Patrick made some sort of comment about how it was a crazy woman who approached that rock so closely that she had her feet in the poison ivy in order to carve on the rock. There's that same milkweed. And finally, most of the groups had some fun shots of people. So I just put together a bunch of shots of people on various trips. That's all I have. Folks, feel free to unmute yourself and comment however you wish at this point. Was this worthwhile?
Yes, very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gretchen.
Lots of fun. It should be an annual event, I think. Also, a heads up, maybe both to the trip leaders and our membership that we're going to do this because it's been a while since, and then they may be thinking a little bit more about conserving their pictures or taking pictures.
Yeah, and providing some little scripts maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Great job, Gretchen.
Yeah.
I think we should do it every year.
That
Well, I
sounds
do-
great. Yeah, Gretchen and I were talking about how this could be a great way to start to kind of kick off the beginning of the winter months and the end of the hiking season. So it sounds like you all really enjoyed it, and I'm super happy to schedule this in for seasons to come, as long as that's my responsibility.
Yeah, I'm also very fond of the.
Yes, thank you for putting it all together. I was gonna submit
Yeah.
pictures in and I just didn't get them all done in time for the deadline, so maybe next year.
Yeah,
Next year.
next year.
Next year.
And while we're up there on the Chalk Buttes, I would like to take this opportunity to a huge shout out to the Maca Flora chapter for putting on a fantastic meeting. There was a little write-up in the Kelsey, which was great, but it was a wonderful time. I know a lot of us had a wonderful time. And there were 125 people in Ekalaka. It was just a really great celebration. And
It was.
thanks to the Maca Flora.
Here, here.
Well, thank you, everyone. I think we can cease the recording, Alex, and I
Sounds
think
good.
we've done our first presentation of the season.
Ooh, nice work.
All right, thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Gretchen.